trying to chunk it down as fast as they can, but it just gave time for Ogwen to eventually get there and then get some kills for the team. So I kind of feel like they got to make sure they understand where they can actually win the battles and don't force the fight where Bren themselves wanted in the first place.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing about overextension, right? You know, playing into their favor and taking into their own territory. And so far, every single time Bren has won the fight is because of the fact that Bleed took the initiative to dive into their favor. But if Bren decide to dive into their favor, then it's going to be counterintuitive. However, like I said as well, power spike on Bane is very questionable when it comes to tank Banes. Early game, you have some sort of damage, but as you go to the mid game, you don't really have a lot. You're just you're just a big squid running around. You soak some damage, you do a little bit of stuns here and there, but you don't really contribute a lot of damage compared to a Frederick who comes in, taunts you, oh, I soak some damage, you know what, let's one punch you, somebody's gonna die. One big fat cone, everyone is gonna die.
I mean, especially if you're a Bane tank and you're under. The position was just so very hard for Bleed Esports to make something out of nothing. And it seems like Bren Esports, again, they understood that. They played disciplinedly. Only a couple of deaths were taken from their side. I can say a perfect game coming from the side of Bren. I want to see more. Can they stay consistent in the second game, or will Bleed Esports manage to kidnap?
Honestly, the thing about Bren is they're good at hemorrhaging their opponents. And they just get salt and they just add it to the wound because Bleed did not seem like there was any crack in the defense of Bren. So even the early game, if you mess that one up, is not going to be looking too good. We're going to jump into the draft very, very soon where, again, picking up the Valentina is great. Picking up the glue is great. There are opportunities where you can win the lane, but I'm gonna agree with the casters here. You gotta play around that as well, which is going back into my own point about picking your battles, picking the battles that you can actually win, because it does seem like they're a little bit unsure of who's winning and who's losing.
Yeah, I agree. You know, when it comes to who's winning and losing, it feels like when it comes to Bleed Esports, that final pick of Leslie kind of disrupted and throw them off because of the fact that JPL is supposed to be like setting up this kind of plays, but how can he do so where one ultimate from Leslie pretty much reveals the position of JPL not once but multiple times? I think one of it as well, JPL was actually caught off because of the fact that the moment he was revealed, everyone from Bren just jumped in and harassed him out.
Well, see here from the second game, what will the draft be? Bren Esports will have the blue side here opting again, banning out that Eve just like they did in that first game. So it seems like Bren here, they're cooking something up for, we don't want to deal with the Eve.
I kind of feel like they just want a composition where we saw just now a very brute force heavy, not the item, but meaning like the way that they play. They just want to charge in. Basically, Eve is pretty good against fighters as well as tanks. They probably just want a lot of that and then give a lot of space for Super Marco. In this kind of situation, banning out the Joy is pretty okay, and Bren, they're going to ban the Kajam themselves, which for me does show that they don't want to first pick it, but they completely understand the damage of a second pick Kaja can be.
I feel like in terms of priority, they still prioritize Fredrin a little bit higher because they're on first pick, right? So it's either Novaria or Fredrin, which is a good call there. But I feel like because of the Eve and Kaja, it feels like they are leaning a little bit more on Fredrin because of the fact that Fredrin needs those mobility. The real mobility kind of denies that. If you get caught on it here, you're just going to be stuck here with a lot of slow. So I guess they're leaning a little bit more. I might be wrong, but it's just my tell. But Kadita, similar bans once again from Bleed Esports.
Probably just making sure that in the game, FMM and KLVJ will have a pretty okay time. Because the thing about the Kaja, the Kadita as well as the Joy, they just don't care about who's in front. And not gonna lie, it's kind of helping out Bren as well because their composition is about having a pretty strong front line, and then everyone else from behind has a free time. So in a way, Bleed's ban is helping out Bren as well.
I completely agree with that. I mean, Bren Esports can definitely exploit that Kadita ban. And looking at their last ban, it's going to be the Fredrin. So I personally feel it's going to be, they're prioritizing the Novaria here. Question is, Bleed Esports, will they...
Ouch.
Yeah, are they forced to ban the Novaria out? Because remember, first game, Few got the MVP.
This is really smart because if you're talking about two prior picks here, 1-1 is also in the pool as well, and Fanny as well. So these are things that Bleed Esports, they need to decide. Do they ban the Fanny? If they do, Novaria as well as 1-1 is going to be out for grabs. Bren Esports, pretty sure they are going to lean a little bit more on that 1-1 potentially. I might be wrong, But this is posed a very, very big question of League Esports. How do you want to play this tempo? Because if one of these heroes lead into as Bren Esports, means that you need hard heroes that can actually deal with potentially a Fanny or maybe even a 1-1 as well to a certain degree, which kind of goes against their usual playstyle of going for the Cho. But no, Valentina gets banned out instead, so they are leaving it open.
Here's the thing. I'm looking at the mid lane. Eve gets banned out. Valentina gets banned out. The Kadita gets banned out. Novaria is a pretty good pick. You can pick it now. The Kaja is not there as well, but they're picking up the Arlet. Now I'm just thinking, what other mid lane heroes are they looking at? Because the Pharsa might be good, but you gotta make sure that you're safe.
Yeah.
The if the Lancelot is there, if the Yuzong is there, it's not gonna be a fun time for the Pharsa.
Yeah, I feel like Bren Esports needs to withdraw with backstand that mage pick. But it seems like Bleed now, question, right? Arlet, sure, very strong in the lane. What do you want to do? Do you want to contest in that EXP, or do you want to just pick a hero that is just hold off that lane and somehow passive EXP laner? But it seems like Bleed can definitely pick up the Novaria here to take it away from the hands of few.
I think denying it away would be a safer pick as well. It's definitely a no-brainer to actually go for it. But I feel like they're still afraid of the potential Fanny pickup, which Bren Esports may pick it up. But no, they don't go for the Novaria. They bring in the Faramis and the Martis. And seems like they are afraid that Bren Esports might bring the Glue as well. So I think with the Faramis, Glue is pretty much out of the equation. I don't think it's a big prio, but you know, Faramis just destroys Glue every single time Split comes in.
I mean, the Arlet is there as well. So,
true. I don't think it's gonna happen too.
Yeah. Honestly, the Faramis pick, I think it is just because the Eve is not there. Because it's kind of not fun to play the Faramis into the Eve. And another thing as well, there is potential that what Bleed is thinking is that Bren kind of wants to play pickoff, because Faramis can kind of counter that with the altar, but you kind of always have to be all around the map. Very interesting pick here for the Faramis, but this does leave Novaria open. Is there any excuse for Few not to pick it up? No, there's not. He's just going to pick it up.
Oh, with the Minotaur as well. Novaria, again, outranges Faramis, so sure. So, again, that Faramis not going to have a good time in that head-to-head. To add to that, they add another hero that can soak in a lot of damage, can cause a lot of destruction during 5v5.
Three things here. Three things.
Tell me.
Number one, Astral Echo, slowing down opponents as well as increasing their hitbox. Gonna be great for Minotaur. Gonna ensure that Minuin Free actually hits everyone. So that's number one. Number two, if you want to dive into Bren, are you seriously going to dive against a Minotaur and an Arlet? It's not gonna work well. You need some kind of range to deal with this. And number three, Arlet loves it. When your opponent is gonna get stunned up, it's gonna be very easy for him to proc the Vengeance every single time.
Oh, they go for the Beatrix instead. I was expecting them to actually lock down the Glue, which is something that they're comfortable as well. Because here's a little bit fun fact as well, SPS from Season 1 as well, we have seen a lot of high win rate percentage with Faramis and Glue as a composition, as a two-way ticket to try and isolate players and then take them out. So this is something that I was very surprised that Bleed didn't go for it. But at the same time, if they go for it, means that, you know, Bren can decide to pick the Fanny later on. Means that, you know, if you force the Kufra, it kind of counter against your composition of trying to play this push and pull effect, because Kufra goes in, you're all in, and you're no way out.
Yeah, another perspective is why they pick up a marksman here is they want to limit the marksman option in that second phase, right? They can eliminate perhaps carry, perhaps that 1-1 is also up and available, but they will definitely ban out that Melissa. So again, limiting the marksman, because Super Marco in that first game was also a beast. Now, Bren Esports here, looking at their composition, that Minotaur, man, can catch you off guard, because the second skill can heal you. So if you go for all ends and miscalculate, yeah, Bren Esports is going to punch you back.
Honestly, this might be premature, but the first three picks of Bren, I'm loving it. I'm
pretty scary.
I'm already on board. Having Arlet S tier, Novaria S tier. Minotaur is just there to kind of like provide support. So the drive is pretty good. I kind of feel like the Beatrix is there as well, because ultra late game 4-item Beatrix is going to be pretty strong, and there is an option for Beatrix to play a little bit more range with both the Renner as well as the Nibiru. If needed, can use the Bennett as well. So betting out the Melissa, great idea. Going up against the Faramis, everyone wants to clump up. Melissa likes when you're clumped up, so that's good. other than that, I'm thinking of the Claude as well, because if they have no way to lock anyone down, the Claude is going to be hella annoying, but they're taking out the Fanny.
Oh my goodness. I thought for a second they were going to ban the Cloud because of the Cloud Altar, but they brought in the Fanny instead. But now, Bren Esports, they take this read, they ban off the glue as well, which is something that actually allows this Feramis to kind of excel in what it does in terms of clumping out fights. So this is going to be a big problem for them, because eventually, because they ban off the Fanny, Claude is in this equation, and BLD Esports, they need to find a way to deal with this Claude. Or maybe in this case, Bren Esports might decide to just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to bring a Assassin jungle, a higher booster to a certain degree, maybe even a Landstorm as well, to just cut the back lines, and just there's nothing really you can do about it from BLD Esports.
And one hero that Bleed can play around with that last pick is Atlas, right? I mean, Bren Esports, they ban out that Diggy, and they haven't picked up the one yet, but no, they commit to a Franco here, not towards that last pick, so they're saving up that flexibility, because Marcus can play the XP. So I feel like they're playing it rather safely here. Let's see what will Bren Esports bring out to the table. They need DPS. Claude.
Okay, I think Claude is definitely a safer pick to actually go for it, but I'm curious to see whether or not can they find those opportunities, because in terms of jungler, I don't think this is jungle minnow, right? I don't think this is going to be the case. But when it comes to
it could.
It could, but I don't think so. I'm personally not a big fan of it, but knowing the Philippines, they love their jungle minnows, which is weird.
But I kind of feel like this is going to be a roam minnow, especially because there's so much options in the jungle. Fine, but again, Balman did get buffed, making it so that even if you build tanky, your lethal counter will hurt a lot. It doesn't change the dynamic of the turtle as well as the Lord take, but the damage on the heroes is going to be quite a lot, especially when you have the Novaria as well as the Brody. They're going to be chunking a lot of the HP down, so it's going to be very easy for the Balman to hit the little counter.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the last pick here, again, looking at the composition from Bren, I'm thinking, what is the loophole here that Bleed can definitely exploit? But looking at their composition, they have someone that can soak in damage. They have DPS. They have also Burst. Masha is their perhaps saving grace here. I don't know how it will play out. So with the Masha, they want to win that EXP.
You know what? I'm loving the draft from Bren. What do you guys think?
I like Bren as well.
Me too. Me too.
Like they're forcing the draft a little bit more from Bleed with the Masha pickup. Like just because they need somebody to tank even more.
Well, with that being said, we're gonna throw it over to Lyoko, because I don't know, man. This draft, I'm not feeling too good.
Thank you so much, Lafel, Agani, and Terrence. Lyoko here at your service. How loco was that draft?
That was pretty loco, man. It was crazy loco because, again, it really feels like Bren were able to force out a lot of these crazy picks from Bleed, even the Masha towards the end. We completely understand the Masha pick. We were actually hovering over the Yuzong, the Lampu, but the Masha is really good against the Brody, as a Brody player myself. So what about you, Leo? What do you think about the drafts?
I think it's better than Game 1, definitely, talking about how BLD Esports just was not presenting much. But for Bren, I like how they're pushing the envelope here, how they're showing us something new, given that we were expecting Lancelot, right? Yeah. But now it's Kyle TZ rocking this Balmond, which we saw very sparingly in the last major tournament that was MSC. Now getting into the Land of Dawn, it's a purple mirror start for both of them. And you can see the Balmond is a little faster here. I'm worried about that Martis though, because a Martis that doesn't snowball, that doesn't find the right target after each target that he kills, basically isn't worth much. So looking at Bren Esports, the only real one you can jump from is Few, and Few is so great at using space.
You know, fun fact, last time I saw a Balman pick in my ranked games was back when I was in the Legend, and you guys can get your Legend tickets right now because it's the only one available. As FlatTZ gets a double stun, Bren should be able to find this Lethal Wanderer. That's a good retrieve from KyleTZ to go and collapse onto Bleed, trying to go for more invades. But I think we had a little bit of a discussion as well, Leo, about the matchups here for the gold lane, especially. Beatrix versus Brody, we said it is a skill matchup.
It's a 50-50. You just press the buttons better, you place yourself better on the map, and you can win. And I think that's what's happening here. Super Marco. Look, he's pushing him out. He's getting those stacks in.
Yeah, Beatrix definitely has he has an okay time if you just go for the farm, but you gotta remember that you need to just last hit. If you shove the wave, Brody will have control. Once Brody freezes the wave, which Super Marco is doing right now, there's not much counterplay to it unless, obviously, you get a second guy down below into the gold lane, which is right now JPL. And I think if they want to switch things up, this is the game to do so. They want to get the Beatrix into that mid-game power spike as fast as possible to get this Brody and try to shut him down. Because if he gets snowballed, if he gets the turrets, it can be over in the 4th, 5th minute.
Yep, which is a throwback to Game 1. In Game 1, Bren Esports did so well to open up the map for Super Marco. And here, looks like Bleed is off to a better start here. On the right foot, if we will. Now, so get new spots, shenanigans, Turtle gets taken, and it looks like there's not much. He's going to survive this, most likely. But to no avail, is this what we expected from the Masha? Is this what they wanted to do here in the XP lane?
I think it is sort of what they wanted to do, but the thing is, you need to have instant synergy when it comes to that. If you have a Masha distracting, you need to have the members on the other side of the map ready, prepared to go for a trade. And unfortunately here, Deck was just not on the same page. He did not go for the orange buff fast enough, and he actually focused on his purple buff. Meanwhile here, Kaltizi with an invaded cheeky one. He's going to fall. First blood to Bleed Esports, and the Masha is already doing really, really good early on.
All right. This is definitely uncharacteristic of Bren Esports, especially seeing what they did in Game 1. What was Kyle TZ doing in that deep? Was there not enough information on the map saying, hey, there could be 2 or 3 Bleed members roaming around, and this is a dangerous invade, this is a dangerous steal? He tried to commit Grand Theft Orange to no avail. That was a wasted rotation there. Definitely a win for Bleed.
He got caught by the cops. 1-star cop run.
That was a 1-star wasted, man.
That was.
If you know, you know. That it's not very good.
I think it's like, you know, he thinks he has a sports car because, you know, he's an assassin player. He's very mobile.
That's right.
But in that situation, again, this is why we kind of mentioned it's a bit uncharacteristic to see Kyle on a utility jungler.
That's right.
Especially something like a Balman with very, very low mobility and very, low playmaking potential.
Yeah, he was actually buffed or reconfigured in the last big patch, and it doesn't affect much of his farming. So in that moment when he was farming and there was not much follow-through, because again, lethal counter was buffed as well, there was nothing. There was no reason for Kyle to be that deep in. So I'm hoping Bren Esports can, for the sake of their victory here, repair that and then fix that communications breakdown, or for Bleed take advantage so we make it to Game 3, because again, it's not perfect. Bren Esports are not flawless as they seemed in Game 1. Now, with the pull, Bren's still 500 gold ahead. JPL and FMM revealed. I'm wondering what's Few and Kyle thinking. Ogwin takes a nice pixel brush. Turtle at half health.
Should be a free one now with lethal counter. Perfect calculation as the mid lane gets shoved in by Deck. Despite dying in the first few minutes of the game, Kaltizi is still up 1 level. He's trying to make it 2 levels right now. That's a final slash. Brings Sagitnu back. Few with a good snipe down. Kaltizi has a lethal counter. Sagitnu should fall here, but he's not in range just yet. That's the vengeance. One more is all he needs, but he wants to give it to Kyle TZ, who picks it up a bit risky there. They really want to snowball forward, but here you can already see Bren already has an 84% chance of winning. Deck, he's going to lose out on that one, and Kyle's still holding on to that lead. He wants everything in enemy jungle.
So this is his version of playing greedy, right? Like, again, I think that's what explains that attempted steal on the orange, is he was playing very greedy. And what's that led them to? Again, just a smorgasbord of items on this Balman, who is about 800 gold ahead currently of Deck. And I'm thinking about Deck here. Again, we mentioned how if he's not snowballing, if he's not decimating on decimating on decimating, what do they expect to do? And I don't think there's enough burst from Bleed to do that.
Not enough burst at all from Bleed, but looking at the other side, there's a lot of burst on Bren that actually works. And I want to give props to Super Marco here because he understands completely what made or what makes Brody really hard to execute in this patch. The steel leg plates and the buff to the Dreadnought armor, anti-Cuirass, is really what kind of stomps Brody and why we really didn't even think about the Brody.
Yep.
The fact that he went for the Fury Hammer straight to the Malefic Roar really gives him a lot to say in this game. And look at his emblem. I didn't actually realize this. JPL with a good hook. That's a Bloody Hunt as well, but it should not be a kill. Ogwen should be able to disengage. Lethal counter. Almost taking JPL down. Ogwen forced to flicker out a snipe. Ogwen with a sidestep. And now it's just FMM swapping weapons. But back to my point. Malefic Roar Fury Hammer, Double Pen, and Weapon Mastery.
Yep, and again, by going with early Malefic Roar, you're going to see increasing returns. And so far, I'm sure there are like a couple of content creators and analysts out there who have done the math. The earlier you get it, the better, especially when you want to snowball, when you want to stop your opponent from getting much burst. FMM! How's the pickoff? Bren Esports, just one. Just one down bottom. What do you want down bottom? Everything.
Yeah, everything and the turret too. This 6-minute turret take is going to be quite massive because it enables Super Marco to rotate across the map and transition and convert on that lead even more. And you can see the Malefic Roar did so much with the Fury Hammer too.
So good.
Steal leg plays for FMM. That's what you go for when you're up against a Brody, up against a bully in lane. But when you go for Malefic Roar first item, steal leg plates has no impact.
It's a wash, man. You wear pants, it goes right through it. And what's beautiful about what Super Marco did here is he has the Fury Hammer and then a couple of Legion Swords. Now it's up to him. The world is his oyster. He can build whatever he wants from there. If he sees more pants, then he adjusts Hunter Strike. If he doesn't and he sees that maybe Bleed is getting a little greedy, Blade of Despair. I'm all for it. And now, so far, Bleed are just, again, trying to stop the bleeding. They know that bottom lane has permanent damage, not going to be as clear for FMM to farm from. Good news, though, FMM is farming up quite a bit, despite that early death, despite being 0, 1, and 0. Now, looking elsewhere, I'm not so sure if this is the right move, because FMM didn't rotate either. It's just as dangerous down bottom, even if you do send a couple of mid laners.
It's going to be very hard. I mean, catching an Arlet, especially an Arlet that has a lead, you know, it's just going to be very, very hard. Super Marco as well here, you saw that he already completed the BOD in the 8th minute of the game with a Malefic Roar. Usually, you complete your BOD because you go for Fury Hammer first and then BOD. The fact that he's able to do that, Malefic to BOD in the 8th minute, that's the time span as to usually when you get just Fury Hammer and BOD. Just a small little item, but it seems like for Bren, they're not just penetrating leg plates, they're also penetrating the enemy jungle.
Yep, and given the situation, Bren Esports have mounted themselves onto a position wherein they can call the shots. Again, very similar to game 1, not for the lack of vision from Bleed this time around, but wait, that was a possible engage. And here's the thing, we haven't even seen the Minotaur do much.
Oh my god, Leo. When you see Super Marco's first kill, when the fact that Super Marco's first kill can take the whole Cult Alter HP, it is already disastrous for Bleed. And that's just the power spike. The fact that Brody has this big of a lead in the 8th minute of the game, you can expect these objectives to just go down, especially with the lethal counter with a Balman on that Demon Slayer as well. There's not much you can do when you're Bleed right now. You can just wait as you get suffocated.
And so far, in the past 8-9 minutes, Super Marco has been a major cause for Bleed's problems, right? That's blocking them from even thinking about Game 3. And he hasn't even died yet. Even if, let's say, Bleed can mount a comeback and try to stop Super Marco, where's it going to come from? Sagitnu from a weird angle? A hook from JPL? Again, Deck, I'm not sure what he has to do here. As a frontliner, maybe go for a disengage, look for this. Sagitnu with a jump in.
They have good pill, and man, they have good mechanics too. Just easily sidestepping through JPL's Iron Hook. And I don't know if you paid attention to this, Leo, but I want everyone to see how much damage Super Marco does with one hit on the turret. He took that turret down with 2 hits, and it was half HP, right? So I just really want to see what Super Marco does to the turrets right now as Kaltizi jumps into the backline once again. Take a look. You see? So much damage. This is what Brody is made for. If you get Brody ahead, now with the Heptaseas as well, there's more penetration and more burst damage to come through. Every turret, tier 2's gone. And again, it's 6K at 10.
Just chooses one. This is a gold laner's wet dream.
Yeah, it's Brody's wet dream.
Specifically.
Specifically.
And Super Marco has been the linchpin, the pivot point for Bren Esports. And even if Kyle Teasy has suffered an early death again for an uncharacteristic level of greed in the first 2 to 3 minutes, it was all on Super Marco. And again, deja vu. Bren Esports have opened up the gold lane, and it led to this. This is what we have.
If you see the damage leaderboard, there's not much. Like, you see Super Marco is like, all right, he's doing damage, but he's not doing that much damage. But Then you take a look at the damaged turrets.
Yep.
It should be Super Marco alone at the top. Very lonely.
But this is good news for Bleed because at least they know. They have situational awareness that if we can avoid Super Marco for long enough and build up an arsenal in FMM, maybe we stand a chance. Speaking of which, what's our homie FMM building up here? He has a Blade of Despair of his own, pair of pants, tax speed boots, and then maybe build up his own Malefic Roar here. So yeah, definitely way behind. Oh, about 3K. Oh, almost 3K, 2.5 to be specific. Oh, it's so tough.
And Marco understands that, you know what, I already have the damage, I already have a massive lead, I don't want to go for all offensive items. Meanwhile, here, up top, Sagitno is going to be bursted down, goes in for Thunderclap, is able to connect on to Super Marco, but the Horn Apart Memory should be able to take him down right here, right now. Sagitno down, Super Marco already on the way to that Win of Nature, just what I was going to say, and he got it, he already has the Win of Nature, so sure. Alright, Bleed, let's say they do hold out until FMM gets his item, Power Spike, which is, I would say, still quite a long way from getting to that power spike. But even if he does, Win of Nature, it's done.
Yep. Where then, right? And again, how do you even line up the shots to make sure that FMM gets him in? Again, this is a DPS hero you're looking at. Even if you do catch him with the Renner ults, it's very difficult. Free Lord here, given over to Bren Esports, and they're just going to start taking everything away. Oh, Lord. They even kept the little baby purple.
Yeah. They even got the blade armor for Kaltizi.
Even Deck can't farm up. This is good for the King, for KLVJ, but I guess good news, bad news, right? Bad news, what's happening now? Just take a look, right? As a Bleed fan, this isn't what you want to see. Good news is, good high ground defense. I think there's enough peel between Deck, JPL, and Sagitnu for Kiel and FMM to just clear waves. But they have to play it very, very well. They have to play it right. And that's even just thinking about and assuming Ogwen won't do much. We haven't really seen a big ticket Minoan Fury yet.
No, and that's crazy because usually Bren, it really is dependent on Ogwen. If Ogwen makes the play, if he opens up a fight, Bren just follows. Here, the fact that he's just chilling in the back. Meanwhile, wait, Deck might actually be solo kill here.
No.
That's what the Unbending Will does, man. So much damage. An lethal counter from Kaltizi as he jumps forward under the base turret. A good stun onto kill VJ as he's able to bring Kaltizi back to the turret, but it's only going to be a first base turret taken down up top for free. Nothing Bleed can do. And look at how Bren managed to wait. Final slash! Bringing Deck all the way in the back. That's a good Iron Hook with the Bloody Hunt as well. Catching him under the base with the Abuser's Bastion. That's the decimation as well. But with the lethal counter and a Minion Fury to knock two members up. It should just be Bren who can push forward, plow down on Bleed Esports with Few as well. Finding another kill. Now it's a Sea Halberd for Marco. Super Marco with a flicker forward and the stun. Now with Win of Nature as well. Dealing some damage back again. There's some healing coming in from that minion. But that's going to be another kill. Super Marco, even though he falls, he gets a double. And it's a 7-3 stat line. Not as fast as game number 1, but still calm, stone cold, and efficient.
Precision with blunt force. That's what Bren Esports has brought into this series, earning them a 2-0 victory, a sweep over Bleed. Miracle, correct me if I'm wrong, there was only just really one big ticket Minoan Fury, and that was for the win.
Yeah, it was for the win, right? I mean, we mentioned it. Ogwen, he's usually the playmaker for the team, so once he makes the play, you know it's over.
Is Master Ogwen business